Welcome to your presentation for basic income statement analysis for horizontal analysis, or what we refer to as comparative analysis. What is horizontal analysis? When we're completing a comparative or horizontal analysis, we're really evaluating the dollars or percentage change in revenues, expenses, or profits. So we're comparing from year to year, not using the common size percentage that we did before, but our dollar change and our percentage change. We require at least two different sets of data. So it doesn't have to be current period versus prior period. Okay, so this year compared to last year, this month compared to last month, anything like that. It can be our current results, our current period results compared to our budgeted results. So what we were forecasting, what our goals were. We can compare our current period compared to the results of similar business units, so other people that have a similar kind of operation that we do. We could also compare it to industry averages. Okay? It's just like common size as far as who we want to compare to. Okay? So the exact same as our vertical analysis. So here's some very important language that you need to know and understand moving forward. First is absolute difference. An absolute difference is the change in dollars that differs from two sets of data. So if we were to compare this year to last year, okay, our current year minus last year, that's our absolute difference. So current year minus last year. If we were looking at our current year compared to our budget, we would go current year minus our budget. Okay, so it would always be our current year minus whatever we're comparing it to. And that would give us our absolute difference. The relative difference is the percentage change between two sets of data. So, using the example of current year minus last year, we would then go current year minus last year divided by last year. If we were comparing it to our budget again, we'd go current year minus our budgeted performance divided by our budgeted performance times 100. That gives us our relative difference. Okay. If you're comparing it to industry averages, we'd go current year minus industry averages divided by industry averages times 100. Okay, so notice that this top portion is actually our absolute difference. Okay, we're just adding one more step to it. So that would give us our relative difference, or our percentage change. So if we go to Excel, we'll look at our USAR income statement. So the first thing you'd want to do is probably write absolute on the side and relative. What we're trying to find out is our absolute difference and our relative difference from year to year. So I want to find out from 2011 to 2012 what happened. So my current year, the current statement is 2012. So for covers, I would go 233,600 covers minus the covers from 2011, 242,141. So what this is telling me is I actually had less covers. You could have told me that by just looking at it, but this shows you a number. Okay? We have 8,541 covers. What does that mean in percentage form? Well, we could go, if we go back to your presentation, if you look at it, it tells you current year minus last year divided by last year times 100. We already have that first part, okay, the current year minus last year. That's our negative 8,541. Okay. We're now going to divide that by last year, okay, the last period we're looking at, so 242,141. That gives me a decimal. Okay, now because I'm using Excel, I'm going to just hit the percentage. When using your calculator, you should be going times 100, right? Okay, so this would be 3.52%, but I'll take away that times 100 because I'm using Excel only, and I will hit my percentage button and look at two decimal places. So I actually went down in covers by 3.5%. That's what that number means, is from year to year I'm down 3.5% for my covers. Let's do the same for food revenue. So I want to look at my current year, $3,758,697 minus last year, $4,010,964, to find out. So at this point I'm looking at dollars, so I can turn it into dollars and eliminate any decimal points. So from year to year, if I compare 2012 to 2011, I'm down in food revenues by $252,267. What does that mean as a percentage? I would divide my $252,267. I would divide that by last year. Remember that. Okay, and let's turn this into a percentage with 2 decimal places. So negative 6.29%. So we're down 6% in food sales from 2011 to 2012. We went down. Now I'm going to use Excel and make things a bit quicker, but I would go my 2012 liquor revenue minus my 2011 revenue to find out whether I went down or not. So I actually went down in sales, and then to find out my relative difference, I would divide the absolute difference by the last period I'm looking at and turn this into a percentage. So both of these are down by 6.3% roughly. Now using Excel, I'm just going to quickly drag and do all this, and all I'm doing, folks, is going for absolute difference, I'm going my current year 2012 minus my previous year, and then for my relative difference I'm dividing my absolute difference by the previous period, the last year I'm looking at. Okay, that's all I'm doing here, and then using Excel I'm just clicking and dragging to make things easier. And deleting any sections that didn't have any information in them. So if we were to take a look at this right away, and we can start highlighting this, and this is a true big part about analysis. This number I'm concerned about, I would highlight that as well as red, but right now the rating's in red here. It's got conditional formatting, but I would basically highlight this in a shade of red basically. That means that I'm concerned. If we take a look at the absolute difference in wine revenue, well, we actually did better in wine, so I would probably highlight this in green. Okay? That means I'm happy about that. Now this is something that we really have to make sure we feel comfortable with. Okay? And that's the fact that a red number, a reduction in, and this should be, so a reduction in expenses. Okay, so the fact that this is negative, that's a good thing. Okay, so everything here is good. And you're thinking to yourself, well, why is a negative number good? Oh, except for here, sorry, that would be red. This is good, okay, because we have reduced our costs. Reducing expenses is a good thing. Okay, always remember that. Reducing revenue, you don't want to reduce revenue. Okay? However, if you reduce your expenses, you're doing something right. So increasing revenues is good, increasing cost is bad. Okay? So we went up in costs. And then if we take a look at our total, I'd be actually pretty happy with this. We'll do a lighter shade of green. Okay, so I'd be actually pretty happy with my cost of sales. That means that it went down. Now, this wouldn't tell us the whole story, and that's why we should be using our vertical and horizontal analysis together. Because right now it tells me that I went down, which is great, but I don't know what percentage this is of total revenues. Okay? We would go down here and look at this. This would be really good. I'd be very happy with the fact that we went down in revenue, but we also went down in our costs. That's a good sign. Same thing with the fact that we reduced costs. We went down by 12.42% on our China costs. That's great. Okay? 3.22% increase, 2.76. When we're talking about smaller numbers, we're not as concerned. Okay, cleaning supplies, I'd be interested. I'd want to maybe look at this a bit more. Why did cleaning supplies go up so much when we had less business? We went down in business, but we used a lot more cleaning supplies. I'm concerned. My paper supplies and miscellaneous expenses went down considerably. I'm very happy about that. Service contracts went up. That's not good for expenses. I'd be concerned, why am I getting so much service done on my equipment? And then we would do the same for our marketing. We would look at everything. Overall, total controllable expenses, overall, we're doing good. Now, we could be doing even better. Okay, so if we take a look at our china and silver, what other red items do we have? Cleaning supplies went up by a lot. Service contracts went up by a lot. So this is great. We could be doing better. Now, when we're looking at income, okay, a positive number is a good thing when we're looking at comparative analysis. That means that our income-wise, our income or profit so far, controllable income, is doing better. I'd be happy with that. Okay. Occupancy costs went down. That means that somehow we saved on our occupancy costs. Maybe we discussed a better lease option. Okay. Equipment leases went up. I would be less concerned about non-controllable expenses because we can't control them. Okay. If we look at our income, remember, going up is good. So we went up. We're up 11.53%, which is awesome. Our interest we have no control over. But if you take a look overall, from 2012 to 2011, we're up $86,000 in our income before income taxes, which is a 17% increase. That's awesome. I'd be very happy if I was this restaurant owner. Now we would do the same for the departmental schedule. Okay, we'd create a line for absolute, for relative, and we would do the same. We would go I'll write it out first, $1,514,581 minus, because that's the current year, minus the 2011. And that would give us, let's turn this into dollars. Whew, not happy about that, right? So we're down $1 million in transit rooms revenue. Okay. And to find out the relative difference, I would divide that negative $1.078,474,000 divided by, because that's the absolute difference, divided by the previous year. The previous period I'm looking at, 2593, $2,593,055. And turn this into a percentage. Whew, that hurts. Okay, I am down by 41.5% in transit rooms revenue. That's a big concern of mine. Okay, I'll use Excel for the rest, so I would go my current period I'm looking at minus my previous period to find out the rest. Okay, and I would do that for every single line using Excel, get rid of some zeros, there you go. Okay, so right away you can see that my group's room revenue is down too. My other rooms revenue is down as well. Overall, my total rooms revenue is down. Things are, well, hey, this is good at least. Remember, revenue, negative is bad. Expenses, negative's good. Okay, it's very good. We're at least bringing down our expenses as we go. Okay. This is where our vertical analysis would be good to look at as well. So while this is positive, is it good enough as far as a percentage of rooms revenue? So if we take a look, and I'll just do this quickly, our payroll. We'll turn this into percentage. And this is why we want to use this in conjunction with our common size analysis. We'll turn this into percentage. So if I use both analysis, I can get an even better understanding of what's going on. So I just told you, right, expenses going down is great. So sure, I'm happy about that. But take a look. As a percentage of total revenue, I had 16% labor costs in the rooms department last year, or 2011. This year it's 26.23%. So while this is positive, it's not positive enough. I needed to reduce this by a lot more. Okay, so I would actually probably not even highlight this as being a good thing, because I would also work in conjunction with the vertical analysis. Okay. For a relative difference, we would compare we would divide our absolute difference by the previous period we're looking at. And we turn this into a percentage, sorry. And we could just do that for the whole statement. And again, so it's 0, 0, so there's no relative difference here. But look overall. So transit rooms revenue are down by 41.5%. Groups room revenue 42.8%. Other rooms revenue is down even more, 55%. So originally, while it looked like transit rooms was the biggest culprit, as a percentage, as a relative difference, they're all reducing by about the same amount. Okay. So again, our rooms expenses went down, which is good, but we need to see the vertical analysis to really feel comfortable with whether or not this is good or not. Is it good enough? Same thing with all of these expenses right here. We want to work in conjunction with our vertical analysis. We would do the exact same thing here. We would create an absolute difference and a relative difference. We would actually start it up here. That's the main difference with your summary operating statement. Because I want to compare my this year to last year for also all of these items. So 2012, I sold 18,963 rooms. Previous year, I sold 30,759. I'm down almost 12,000 rooms sold for the year. I'm very concerned now as an owner. So I would then, to find out the relative difference, divide my absolute difference by the previous year. As a percentage, that's 38.35% less rooms sold. I'm very concerned here. Okay? And you could do the same for every single line all the way down. Now remember, you want to always work your horizontal analysis with your vertical analysis. Compare the two and it will give you a more educated analysis. So complete both vertical and horizontal analysis for your summary operating statement and use Saley's statement of income, and look to come into class prepared.